And then perfect. Okay, welcome to our second special session of this summer. Today we have quite a few things on our agenda, so let's get started. A first roll call. Joel, do we have quorum?
We do. We have a total of 15 Senate voting members with us. Excuse me. Right now.
Okay, perfect. Give me a second. I need to check on something. There it is. Okay. Wait, where did it go? There. So up first today, we have our first org, which is SEES. Then we have Food Recovery Network. And then we have a very fun, very fresh resolution. And then we do not have executive reports today. Open floor and adjournment. So starting with SEES, Greta.
Hi.
Would you like to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about SEES?
Sure. We go by SEAS. Actually, it's the Society for Environmental Engineers and Scientists. And we do have a presentation prepared. Is it okay if I share my screen? Also, Anna Slominski is here, who is the Vice President of SEAS.
Hello, everyone.
You should be able to present now. If you can't, let me know.
Okay, sounds good. And just for a quick question, around how much time do we have to present? Is it however long, or
yeah, just take as much time as you need for now.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Thank you. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right, everyone. So hi, I'm Greta. I'm the president of Society for Environmental Engineers and Scientists.
And I'm Anna Slominski. I'm the vice president of that very long name that you just heard Greta say.
Just wanted to first of all say thank you very much for allowing us to present during the summer. We are very excited to show you what we have planned, and we look forward to hearing back some feedback. So about SEAS, the affiliated organizations are the Water Environment Federation, American Academy of Environmental Engineers and Scientists, Association of Environmental Engineering and Science Professors, Advancing Earth and Space Science, and our mission is to promote student interest in water resources and environmental science and engineering. So our first affiliate organization is the Water Environment Federation. It is mainly water focused, interdisciplinary, and for both undergraduate and graduate students. Student membership is relatively cheap, only about $20 per year. And through the Water Environment Federation, we will be able to participate in the WEF Design Competition. And there will be a WEF conference that will be held in Chicago this October, actually at the McCormick Place. And it's held in Chicago every other year. So, and in addition to what else the Water Environment Federation offers is they have mentorship programs, a Water Palooza outreach event, networking events, and a WEF Canham Graduate Studies Scholarship.
So our next affiliated organization is the American Academy of Environmental Engineers and Scientists. Student membership is free. The benefits are they have a lot of different informational guides, so a subscription and complimentary copy of a resource guidebook. They also have networking events and as well as scholarships. The third one in the four is the Association of Environmental Engineering and Science Professors. This one's geared towards more graduate students and postdoctoral students. In our first GBN, we had a lot of graduate students asking if there were there were pros for them to be in the club. So this is one of the organizations that goes along with them. Membership is $15, which is also pretty cheap. There is a conference in St. Louis pending the pandemic, student competitions, and it focuses on education and the sciences.
The next one is Advancing Earth and Space Science. Student membership, just like all the other affiliate organizations, is relatively cheap, only about $20 per year. And through AGU, there are meetings, conferences, and scientific workshops that all benefit the students. So we had our first general body meeting in the spring semester, and it actually went pretty successfully. About 20 students showed up and were really interested in the club, as well as the design competitions that we have planned. We also had our first speaker event a couple of weeks ago, and we had a pretty good turnout. We met Albert Ettinger, who develops water quality regulations in Illinois. He proposed to us a real world project that we will likely be participating in as well. As for 2021-2022 events, we are planning to have speaker events every single week that offer professional development and connections to professionals in the industry. Some of the professionals that we have planned are water resource engineers, sustainability engineers, wastewater treatment professionals, solid waste environmental engineers, project manager at the National Park Service, environmental health and safety professionals, and an environmental engineering and law event. In addition to speaker events every single week, we also have events that will be through the Water Environment Federation, such as a conference in October at the McCormick Place, WEF Design Competition that will be in the spring, networking events, and a Water Palooza outreach event that the Water Environment Federation actually plans. And so pretty much all they would need from us is volunteers. And through this event, we'll also be able to meet professionals who will be helping out as well. We also hope to participate in the work design competition that will also be in the spring. This design competition is mainly just a general environmental engineering competition. So instead of it being water focused, it's more general environmental engineering. We also have a field trip to Deep Tunnel Systems in Chicago planned for the spring semester. One of the speakers, who's an IIT alumni, said that he can help us get organized for the field trip. And along with the field trip, we also have a speaker event from an alumni who actually does design work for Deep Tunnel Systems. So I'm thinking of scheduling those back to back, have the speaker event with a design aspect, and then actually go to the Deep Tunnel Systems and have everyone be able to actually see it. In addition to what SEAS would also have a lot of collaboration with other student organizations. Most of our speaker events actually for the fall semester, we have co-events with other student organizations, and there's a lot of room for collaboration with UFarm and Engineers for Sustainable Worlds. Here's a timeline of the events for the 2021-2022 school year. This one is just for the fall semester. Everything in yellow has been confirmed with the speakers. Pretty much all that we have left to do is book rooms for the events.
So here's our beautiful exec board. You've met the president, vice president, me and Greta, but our secretary, treasurer, and public relations managers, our exec board meetings. All of us are really excited to start this fall semester to be an official club and to have these incredible events that you've seen set up by Greta. And our faculty advisor is a Dr. David Lambert. He is a civil professor who does a lot of work in environmental engineering, does a lot of work research in water and environmental protection.
So next up, we started creating a draft of our SEAS budget. We pretty much put down all the events that we know that we're going to need funding for. And we created kind of like a timeline for it, but we do have some questions about funding. And I don't know, is there someone from the finance board here at the meeting today?
Yeah, I'm here.
Would you like us to ask our questions now, or do we want to keep that towards the end, or how would you like to do this?
It's actually up to Kiru. I'm not sure how she wants to.
I'm going to say if you have any questions to ask, ask during 5-minute questioning period when everyone has the chance to ask questions. That way we can keep this a little more streamlined and you guys can finish your presentation.
All right, that sounds good. Thank you. So this slide was mainly for fall. We also have a C's budget plan for the spring semester, just also general big events that we know that we're going to need funding for.
As our final slide, we want to say thank you to our exec board for helping us put this together, as well as our as well as professors Dr. Lambert and Dr. Brent Stevens for providing support, the SGA for allowing us to give this presentation, and then we open it up for questions.
Perfect. With that being said, thank you so much for your presentation. We are going to enter our standard 5-minute questioning period.
You're muted.
Okay, that being said, thank you for your presentation. We'll go into our 5-minute questioning period. If you have any questions for Greta or Anna, please raise your hand and we'll get started.
I know there was also a lot of information on these slides, so if you would like us to go back to any of them, just let me know.
If there aren't any questions, you guys can ask your questions.
Or raise hand on here. Anyone seeing raise hand? Oh, it's down here. Sorry. New Zoom update. My apologies, everyone. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Naeem.
Thank you. Okay. Hi, everyone. Wasn't just talking or anything. So, I just want to say this was a great presentation. I think that this is an important mission to pursue. Obviously, in a field where some of our greatest, really many fields where our greatest innovations are coming to light. Right? We don't want to disregard the environment. We don't want to put that aside. And I think too often, people don't think of the greater consequences of their actions to society. So I think this is something great, and it's a wonderful thing to bring onto campus and to continue to kind of push in terms of an overall mission. Really, maybe this will work its way into other orgs, other classes regarding how to be more environmentally friendly with certain projects, with certain just different things that we do on campus that maybe we really didn't consider that aspect before. So I think this is definitely like just a great step in the right direction in terms of mindset, in terms of thinking, in terms of just progress in general. So, sorry, not a question. I apologize, Kira.
Thank you so much for the feedback.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
With that, thank you, Naeem. Ben.
You had mentioned a tour of the tunnels. Would those be like the or not the transit tunnels, the freight tunnels underneath the city, or is it a different tunnel network?
So there's a deep tunnel system that's for use kind of like to control flooding in the city of Chicago in rainwater. And so it would be a tour of that. And we, like I said, like one of the alumni, he said that he can help us get organized and he knows connections that can help us get a field trip to the deep tunnel systems or actually a wastewater treatment plant. We were considering maybe doing both, but that really, I guess, also depends on like funding and everything.
Perfect. Thank you. Are there any more questions for our guests? Ben, do you still have one or no? Okay, just double checking. Seeing that there are none, I'd entertain a motion to move to discussion period. Someone wants to make that and second that. That'd be 10:10.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you so much for presenting. Right now, I'm going to move you guys into a waiting room while we discuss, and then hopefully at the end of the night, we'll have your results for you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I put the wrong person in the waiting room, I think. Oh. Okay, so are there any questions, comments, concerns that we'd like to talk about during our discussion period? If you do have one, please raise your hand. Derek.
Yeah, I think they're a phenomenal organization. They definitely serve a very unique interest. Outside of them maybe being in some ways a little similar to like CCL when it comes to like environmental studies and stuff like that, I guess you can kind of make a connection. But I think environmental engineering is kind of like a unique thing that we don't really have on campus. And I think it's great that they're trying to bring awareness to it. So yeah, in the wise words of me, why the hell not?
Thank you for that, Derek. Naeem.
Well, even though I already talked a bit earlier, I think this organization is great. And, as I said earlier, they can have a far greater impact than maybe just what's aligned in their mission statement. They can inspire perhaps a different for lack of better words, modus operandi for how people and orgs and classes and groups do things and think about projects on campus. So I'm super excited. I think this org is great, and I think they have an excellent message.
Thank you for that. Just not seeing much in the comments either, besides great organization. We need more awareness about the environment. I agree. Love the environment. Is there anyone else that would like to say anything? Okay, seeing as there is none, I'd entertain a motion to move to voting. Chloe, I'm gonna have them ask those later to you instead of during the meeting, just to make it easier. But yeah, I'd entertain a motion to move to voting. So moves, motion to move voting. Second, perfect. Joel, release the voting. You guys kind of know the standard. You got like 5 minutes to vote. Please vote now. Vote quickly. 10 out of 10 would appreciate. In the meantime, Chelsea, do you have anything you would like to present? Or have like a PowerPoint you need to present?
Yeah, we actually prepared a presentation as well.
Okay, I'll make you a co-host.
Thank you. Just let me know when I should share.
Oh, and to answer Scotty's question, yeah, I just admitted them back. So and then Chelsea, you can put your presentation up.
Okay, thank you. Okay, just let me know when I should start presenting.
We got 1 minute left.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, perfect. You can start now, Chelsea.
Thank you, Kiru. So hi, my name is Chelsea Wynn, and this is Food Recovery Network. And also, thank you guys for letting us present today and taking time out of a summer Wednesday night. But Food Recovery Network is an organization that seeks to eliminate food waste on campus and divert that food waste to people who need the food. So those experiencing homelessness and just the community around it. So to introduce, let's see if I can, okay, to introduce, I'm the president. I'm a third year architecture major. And my roles basically are to just to oversee everything and just basically like report back to FRN Nationals and record all the food waste and just oversee all the other positions. And then actually our whole I think everyone on our exec board is here besides one person. So everyone's gonna introduce themselves. So I'll hand it off to Maddie.
Hi, my name is Madeline Kondik, and I'm also a third year architecture major. As the vice president, I will be assisting Chelsea with the duties of being president, and I oversee the exec board.
Hi, my name is Juana Juglia, and I am the Public Relations and Community Chair. My responsibilities are being in charge of the FRN social media accounts and reaching out and communicating with the public. I'm responsible for advertising campus events, and I work with the volunteer and shelter coordinator to plan volunteer events.
Hi, my name is Joanne McLean. I'm secretary. My job is to record minutes, take attendance, and record donations, and work with the vice president to present at meetings.
David isn't here tonight, but he is our treasurer, and I think he is a third year ITM major.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Mapili, and I'm the volunteer and shelter coordinator. So my role consists of keeping track of volunteer hours and then also keeping in contact with the recipients of the food waste that we have collected.
And I am Christian Razzo. I'm a third year computer science major, and I am the advocacy chair. My role is essentially maintaining contact with the food donors, as well as trying to kind of promote and spread the club across different orgs across campus. And then I also work with the public relations coordinator and also advertising the club.
Cool. And then our advisor is Professor Jonathan Rosenberg, and I think he's professor in environmental politics and policy. And I'm actually about to take this class. I'm really excited for that. So did you know that 80 billion pounds of food is thrown away each year? And then college campuses are actually a big culprit of the food waste that is wasted. I mean, if you see Commons is buffet style, so a lot of that food is actually thrown away at the end of the day. So 22 million pounds of food, but it's probably more than that now. And there's, oh, I'm sorry, I think I just clicked on the link. Okay. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yes.
And then how it all started. Our story is somewhat similar to these students, 4 students from University of Maryland. We basically saw, especially during COVID, we saw all like the food containers going to the trash can, students not eating their food. And we really wanted to do something about all the food being wasted, knowing that there are so many people in the community that are hungry, don't have food. and that we ourselves are wasting food. So we wanted to do something about that and be that like the person in the middle that will transport the food from point A to point B. So basically what they did, they also noticed the food waste, and they worked to recover the food. And by the end of the year, they recovered 30,000 meals in the Washington, D.C. area. And then from there, many more colleges and universities created food recovery networks. There are a total 172 campuses involved. I think there's, well, it would be 173 because of us. And they've recovered over 4.9 million pounds of food to date. And then we will be in the 9th active chapter in Illinois. So this is just kind of a chart to see what a big difference Food Recovery Network does. 531,165 pounds of food diverted from the landfills to the people, and that's just like I can't even like wrap my mind around that number, but that's a lot of food. So this cause is really important to us, and this is just some other numbers, just so I'll just hand it over to Maddie.
So Chelsea said earlier, basically the purpose of the Food Recovery Network is to reduce food waste on our campus, the Meese campus, and provide it to our local partner agencies, which we're looking to work with St. James Food Pantry at the moment. And the goals are to establish a strong relationship with surrounding partner agencies, establish consistent pickup schedules from the IIT dining services, and work with Greek Life as well to see if they are interested in donating. We've had one of the fraternities reach out with interest already, and we are looking to acquire a membership of at least 20 students, and we already have like an interest form of 27 people, so we're doing pretty well in that area. And we want to host events with community speakers regarding topics about food waste and composting, and our advisor actually has knowledge in these areas, so he would be able to speak for one of our events. And we want to ensure the legacy of FRN on the IIT campus.
And another point would be, we have already contacted St. James, so they are willing to accept all of our donations, and they're more than happy to. And they're really excited to work with us too. And we also have already been in contact with Commons, and Chartwells is the food provider, but we've been in contact with them, and many of them have already worked with other campuses and started their own food recovery networks at other campuses. So they're really excited to start it at IIT. So we already have both the food donor and the partner agency to donate to. And then as for the frats, a lot of the fraternities and sororities are interested in like donating food, because a lot of food was going to waste each year too. And then the student org that we're looking to work with right now that has reached out is U Farm, because they're growing food right now, and some of that will go to waste. So just some more points.
FRN is beneficial to the students of IIT because it is a chance to fight food waste in the at a local level, and gives volunteer opportunities to the students as well as the surrounding community. FRN actually allows for the outside community to get involved, which is why it's so great for making connections in the community and about things that people are passionate about, and also to learn about food waste and what we can do as individuals to help. And it's different from other organizations on campus because it is a volunteer-based group, so it allows for community outreach, which I know there are probably other groups that do, but like the main focus of this is weekly volunteer opportunities, and it also gives us a chance to work with like the organization that just presented, or like other environmental
groups to talk about social and environmental issues in the area.
And these are some of our recruitment plans that we already have planned. On August 19th, we have an event at Welcome Week, and we plan to do either Jeopardy or Kahoot or something that's very engaging and fun so that we can attract more volunteers. For our student organization fair on August 21st, we already started planning that and brainstorming ideas. We also have, we're also collaborating with other organizations and meeting students there, as you've already heard about the IITU Farm and Greek Life. We are in the process of working on flyers and information about events and volunteer opportunities. We're working on flyers and getting them approved so we could have them up around campus so that more people know about us. And we also plan on having general body meetings twice a month in the beginning, and then as we get into a more set routine, we're probably going to move to once a month. But that's our plan so far.
We plan to do food recoveries 2 to 4 times a week from the Commons. The Commons has agreed to work with us and will pack up food for us to pick up the next day. We are working on planning fundraisers like bake sales and canned food drives, and plan to host seminars with speakers addressing topics such as food waste and lead workshops on waste and composting. And of course, host general body meetings. So far, our interested students demographic is a majority third-year architecture students, but it seems that we have a wide range of students who are interested all across the board, including our 20% of our demographics is made up of other niche majors that cannot fit into these wider categories here. So we do have a wide range of students who are interested in joining.
And then we hope to gain interest from like younger students at the student org fair, and we also have some interest from our Instagram already from freshmen that are following, or first years that are following us already. So we're pretty excited about that. So going on to the budget, we didn't include the actual numbers. We have a link to it. So I don't know if I should send that to someone right now, or I don't know. But basically, the things that we will need for our budget are recovery materials that will make the food recoveries, like moving the food to point A to point B, successful. And for these materials, they're like containers or aluminum pans, or like things to scoop food scales, because we will need to keep track of how much like food we recover, so we could like report it back to nationals, and so we can have like a breakdown of all the food we're getting. And for these materials too, we strive to get sustainable materials because our mission is to eliminate food waste. But if we're also generating like waste on the side too from like one-use containers, then we don't really want to do that. We want to also like help by not getting those type of materials. So we're trying to budget for things like compostable food containers and compostable gloves, so that or reusable items too. So like reusable like scooping spoons, or reusable or like hats, so we don't have to use hairnets. So like stuff like that. Or we're going to encourage people to wear hats so that we don't have to buy that. But so then I already talked about like the food safety, so that's like gloves and hairnets and hats. Transportation, we will need to transport the food from campus to other places. So we budgeted for that, like things like wagons that we're gonna need to like carry the food, or and then like gas money, and then team gear, and then we also want to budget for speaker workshop events, bake sales, food drives, celebration outreach for the end of the year. But I have the number somewhere else, but I also had a question. This is actually the end of our presentation. So thank you for listening to our presentation, and any questions.
Thank you so much for presenting. Right now we're gonna enter our 5-minute questioning period, where if anyone has a question, raise your hand, and we'll get started. Derek.
Hey y'all, I think what you guys are trying to do is a very phenomenal and very honorable cause that you're trying to pursue here. So I definitely applaud you for that. So one kind of concern I do have about the organization might be the sustainability of your organization. Because in general, at very large scale terms, it seems like your entire purpose is to take money from or take food from the commons and bring it up to St. James. Of course, you guys have a few extra other events here and there, but having students, full-time students taking food up to St. James 4 times a week seems like kind of a heavy burden that maybe not a lot of people would be very interested in. Has this been something that you guys have considered? Is this something that you guys are concerned about, or do you guys have a plan to maybe work through this? What are your thoughts?
So we'll take food from the commons whenever they have it. So it won't be always 4 times a week, but they said that they could have the food or whenever. So our plan to combat, we're going to have like sign up sheets for whenever students want to recover food. So they'll sign up for whichever day they're free. I think we're going to start out with probably 2 recoveries a week so that it's not as heavy. But as we grow, we're going to try to add on more dates. So when different groups of students want to recover on certain days, then they can, so that it's not just a small group of students recovering every single time. So we're just hoping that we get everyone's availability and see when they can recover, if that answers your question.
Perfect. Thank you, Derek, for your question. Does anybody else? Naeem?
Hi, everyone. I just want to say I love the theme of tonight. This is just great, really focusing on, I think, a lot of issues that students tend to put to the side, right? The importance of our environment, in this case, the importance of not wasting food. I mean, especially the cafeteria, the way it's kind of designed by default is that, we just go in, we consume, maybe we put too much on our plate or something like that. Maybe we just overcalculate, and all that extra food adds up. That's all trash. That's all trash and trashed away when that food could go to someone else. Many different areas, many different places, even in the area, right? Could use food that we just simply throw away. So I think I just want to say this once again highlights such an important issue in regard to waste, and us being more conscientious of what it is that we choose to put on our plates, what it is that we choose to decide to eat and claim that as ours, so that we don't potentially waste what could go to someone else. I think that's important. We might think in the grand scheme of things, we pay for our food meal plan or whatever, it's unlimited, whatever, right? But it's important to be aware of these things. It's important to be aware that, this food could go to someone else. If I'm not going to eat all of this, right, don't take it. So I just want to say thank you so much. Once again, I just like the overall themes and just what it is that this org and the other one and our prior one, the mission that's pushing on campus.
Okay, thanks, Naeem. Anybody else have any questions for them? If not, I would entertain a motion to move to discussion period. Oh, Chelsea, could you put the link to your budget in the chat, please? And then we got a motion to.
Yeah, I had a question about that. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So I think we were under the impression that we had to budget up to 2,000 a semester, but I think the other club budget up to 4,000. So we were kind of stressed for money. So we have a budget for 2,000, but we would like to revise it. So, but I'll drop the budget that we currently have right now. Is what I was saying.
Yeah. So the new org budget for the year, I believe, or per semester is 4,000. If you want to go through and revise your budget before you go to finance board, that's perfectly fine. You can drop what you have now. Either one works. If not, we are going to move. Thank you for clarifying. $4,000 per semester. We're gonna move to our discussion period. I'm gonna put you guys in a waiting room. Thank you again for presenting.
Thank you.
In the meantime, does anybody have, please raise your hand for the discussion period.
I do have a question for the rest of Senate.
Give me a second.
If you don't mind me going first, Derek. Could everyone check and see if their link to their budget worked? I just attempted it and it did not work. You may want to ask them to allow for sharing.
It just worked for me.
Okay, got it. I'm going to assume it's something on my end. Thank you, Naeem.
I do know I'm logged into my IIT account. It's possible they shared with Illinois Tech or something along those lines, so you might want to be careful. Oh, okay. Chloe said they just changed it. Okay, then that's okay.
I think I got everyone. We'll get started with that. Jarek.
Okay, cool. I'll keep it brief. I think this, like I said in my question, I think this organization is serving a very honorable purpose, but I do see some very immediate issues with sustainability with their organization outside of bringing food to the food pantry 4 times a week. I think they're going to struggle for a lot of, retaining a lot of members. I'd be interested to see what they want to do, but I think in the long run, this is probably going to die out within probably 3 or 4 weeks of the semester starting. People are going to get busy. People aren't going to want to, do all of that extra work for not that much extra reward. It probably feels like, having seen organizations like this being started and fail multiple times over and over again, I just don't see it going very far. I'm sorry, my camera wasn't on.
Thank you for that, Derek. Chloe.
I'm going off of Derek's point. Not so much with like just the sustainability in general, but they do budget for gas. And I'm not positive, but I don't think that's something that we would fund. So I just don't want that to be like, I mean, we potentially could. I'd have to check and talk to a few people, but if it isn't something that we can fund, I don't want that to like ruin their abilities of transporting the food. So that's just a side note.
And I'm raise my hand too.
Thank you for that, Chloe. Derek?
Yeah. The other thing kind of about that, if they're donating food to St. James Food Pantry, it's 2 blocks away from campus. I don't know how much gas money they're really going to need to go 2 blocks, 4 blocks round trip, I guess. But really.
I didn't know that. Good point.
Is there any other discussion? I know, Sandy, I saw you had your hand up. Do you still have something?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, the only thing I was going to tell them is potentially, because I'm in New Farm with Samir, is potentially like kind of falling under us, because I feel like we're very similar, and potentially like maybe instead the funds could have probably been used towards like U Farm stuff. So, because like that would increase our budget, but it kind of just sucks. I see like Derek and Chloe's point, and I feel like it would be kind of harder for them to be their own independent org. And I kind of wish they joined U Farm, because I feel like that's very much our mission and like growing food and planting and stuff. So I do feel like if this doesn't get passed, we do already have U Farm on campus for them that needs people.
Perfect. Thank you, Sandy. Samir.
Yeah, just going off of what Sandy said. Yeah, the relation with UFarm is right now, UFarm is currently looking into having a project, having an initiative for food composting on campus. We want to like basically use commons leftover food, and we want to compost it on our farm. And so that's mainly our relationship with Food Recovery Network. So I just wanted to clarify that. And also, yeah, we the the composting is where like our collaboration is. Sorry, I feel like I'm trailing off. That's all I wanted to say.
Nope, you're fine. Thank you, Samir. Chloe, did you have another comment?
Yeah, I was basically just gonna say what Samir said because I know I was just talking to someone else from UFarm and I know that UFarm wants to do a lot of composting. So, I mean, if they get approved or not, I think if they did, it'd probably be helpful to like collaborate with UFarm on that and maybe even like help coordinate things because you know UFarm is doing a lot with the gardening and all that stuff. So it might be helpful.
Perfect. Anybody else have any comments? I know we've had a couple of less positive things. Does anybody want to speak out in favor?
I mean, I did already speak earlier regarding the org's intentions. I think definitely, I'm not sure exactly what a deal with UFarm would look like in regard to like UFarm being trying to use the food for the farm and for composting purposes versus donation purposes on the other end. But definitely, you know, some kind of collaboration would be important. I think for this org, just to ensure that you know they get enough donations to really make it worth going to donate, really. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Samir said that it seems like Food Recovery Network's goal is primarily donating food to shelters and insecurity causes, while UFarm has reached out to them about the composting initiative. And then Sandy, I feel like many orgs are on campus there are many orgs on campus that would benefit from their help versus separate orgs with the same mission. Is there anything else? If not, it is our 5 minutes are up, and it is time where I would entertain a motion to vote. So move second. Perfect. Joel released the voting form. Scotty, if you haven't really noticed, I kind of like quick voting, so I give you guys like 5 minutes. Sorry. Just make sure you're voting right away. Yes, with that being said, please go vote right away. Get your vote heard. I'm gonna let them back in. And then Ben, do you have something for the resolution?
Yeah, I did a PowerPoint.
I'll make you a co-host then.
Okay. Ooh, I can see the waiting room. Yes, Apple. Present button.
Samir, did you have something to say?
No. What?
Okay, just checking. Don't worry, you guys still have 4 minutes to vote. Okay, seeing that we have mostly everyone, I'm gonna let the form stay open until 10:14, but Ben, you can go right ahead.
Okay. Let me. Come on, mouse. Okay. So there had been a push over the summer to get a couple of amendments done, and then we realized that, hey, outside of regular meetings, we cannot amend the Constitution or the bylaws, and we need a way to work around that because we would like to make some changes because a lot of the branches of SGA are not really currently falling within the bounds of the governing docs. There are articles of the Constitution that really have not been enforced within essentially institutional memory of IIT, like the General Assembly. There's the concept of the Finance Board Recruitment Commission. These just nebulous concepts that exist within the Constitution and bylaws that it would be nice if we could either clarify them, use them for whatever our current practice is, or otherwise just strip them out of the governing documents such that there is not just extraneous language floating around in the docs. One of the big places this was coming up was Judicial Board. So they wanted to bring their sections of the Constitution and bylaws into agreement with sort of how they've been operating of late. And here are sort of some of the major issues that we're looking at on a branch by branch basis within SGA. So for me, the General Assembly, I don't think I have yet talked to someone who has been to a General Assembly. So it's very unclear what I'm supposed to be doing on that front. The Judicial Board has run into chronic recruitment and quorum issues. Finance Board, there's my pet peeve, the Finance Board Recruitment Commission. And then there's also the fact that we are supposed to be approving Finance Board members at the start of every semester, every member of Finance Board. And then for Senate, since we just moved to spring elections, Apple, please stop. Since we just moved to spring elections, we no longer really have a mechanism by which first years are automatically included within Senate. It used to be with fall elections. You could have first years running in the fall elections. That would get them into Senate as first years. Now, theoretically, currently we have a couple open seats, but theoretically you could assign all seats in the spring semester, and thus there would be no seats at all for first years. And that could ultimately lead to talent issues and issues with people not having any experience within Senate. So how do I propose we fix this? Another special committee. Bring together all of the SGA branches again, like we did with the legislative guide last year. Pull apart the docs, figure out what's working, what we do now that isn't reflected in the docs, formalize it, write it down, bring it back together. And then after everyone has had a chance to write documentation, take it around for comments, and then bring it back to the Senate once it's finalized for Senate processing, Senate comments, and Senate approval. So the big focus is really updating the practices enshrined in the Constitution and the bylaws to match what we actually have been doing, what we have actually found to work, and stripping out those things that in the past have turned out to not be so useful. The other big issue is smoothing over some of the points where it's clear that different branches of SGA haven't really talked to each other so much in the past. So like with the change of organizational statuses that happened last year for SEDS with Finance Board, formalizing that sort of interaction in the Constitution, also updating and refining some of the impeachment and removal practices to just make those processes smoother and less kind of clunky. And also, if you've ever looked through the current copy of the Constitution and bylaws, some of the formatting is almost illegible, as in you'll have subheaders that are less tabbed than the header they're under, and will have continued numbers from other random sections, and I just want to fix some of those things. So who is currently involved? We are looking at myself, Kiru, Joel, our Chief Justice, our Finance Board Chair, and ideally up to 4 senators. Please contact me if you'd like to serve. There are mechanisms in the resolution for handling what would happen if more than 4 senators want to serve. So we are very much looking for senators to be involved. We need senators to be involved because, I mean, Senate is the legislative body. Without Senate's consent and Senate's assent, we can't do anything. So we really need you guys to work with us on this one. As for a timeline, approximately, we would form the committee today at the first meeting of the fall semester, which is either August 24th or September, or August 23rd, 25th, or September 1st. One of those 2 dates, I forget if we're on the first week or not, would be the meeting at which we would approve the slate of senators who wish to serve on the committee, at which point the committee could actually begin to work. 929, there's a mechanism in the resolution for monthly updates to Senate. So Senate gets a constant sort of overview of what have we done in the last month? Are we actually making forward progress on this thing? Ideally, by the end of October, we will have a constitution, we will have bylaws that are finished enough so that way they can be opened up for wider review. At beginning of November, we would take it to the exec board to get the comments from like the VPs of the committees. On about halfway after we've gotten the exec board comments, make sure that the advisors and the justices are cool with the language in there, and that there's nothing that immediately to them jumps out to them as this is going to break those committees, those boards. And I would also like to take it to a General Assembly. So I have no clue how I'm supposed to run the General Assemblies, but the idea of, asking the lighter student body directly, can you guys give us some feedback on this? Do you think this Constitution works? Do you like how we support you in this Constitution? Do you need more feedback from us in this Constitution? We represent the student body. We should be actually taking our feedback mechanisms to the student body and asking them to tell us what they think and make sure that we are meeting the needs of the campus community. And then by the last meeting of November, it would be submitted to the Senate to be considered for, is this the Constitution we'd like to operate under in the future? There is a requirement in the resolution that if we do revise the documents, the new documents do not take effect until after the spring election. So through the current election cycle, nothing would, well, there are some minor changes. The rules would largely stay the same. We won't be touching the election codes at all. So the election for next spring has already been determined. We already have dates for when things are supposed to get started. And those dates will stay the same. Those dates aren't changing. But this would essentially kick in after the spring senatorial elections, whatever changes we do decide need to be made. And then by the day before the first meeting of the spring semester, if the committee has not finished its work, the committee gets dissolved anyway. So we have a strong incentive to get done early. And the end goal would be an updated editable constitution and bylaws that reflect SGA's opinion of best practices, streamlining interbranch relationships and clarifying how the branches interact with one another, combined and centralized record keeping because our archives, we need a bit more structure to our archives, and maybe something like a framer's intent report. So that way we could actually comment and say, hey, here's why we did it this way and not that way. This is what we were thinking. This is the value we saw in doing it this way. Buyer beware. Maybe you'll see it differently. And in the interim, what's changing? There's now just a flat quorum rule. That quorum is a simple majority of whoever serves on that board/committee. There's a bunch of judicial board changes that Nick can explain if people are interested in those changes. The formalization of the student org status change policy that we came up with last semester is implemented. And then there's just some stuff that covers like what happens between when we revise the documents and when the revised documents kicked in. What happens if we appoint a first year to the judicial board who does not meet the current credit hour requirements, because that's one of the changes is the stripping out of the credit hour requirements on associate justices. So that way anyone who is an IIT student can serve as a justice potentially. What happens during that 5 months when that credit hour requirement is technically back in effect? There's a little bit of language that would say essentially like, okay, if we appointed them and they were legal at the time and they are going to be legal again in the future, they just get to stick around until the new rules kick in. There are some outstanding issues, like we need to figure out how to involve first years. We need to figure out how to involve the wider student community, general balance of powers, what checks and balances are appropriate, who should have access to what. Those are all open questions that we should sit down and answer together and formalize. And why do it this way? The Constitution and the bylaws are fundamentally interlinked. There are a lot of points in the Constitution where the Constitution essentially says, see the bylaws for what to do here. However, there are also a ton of points where the Constitution will say a thing and then the bylaws will say the same thing. And so if we only change one or the other, it gets difficult. You really need a Constitution amendment and a matching bylaw amendment to bring things, to keep things in line. So in my mind, there is value in addressing both documents simultaneously, but we also can't do that at special sessions according to the current Constitution. The current Constitution says we can only do it at regular meetings, which by the Constitution would be half of our meetings because the Constitution says Senate only meets every other week. But informally, we would probably say it's every meeting is a general meeting during the fall and during the spring. But over the summer, over winter break, we cannot technically, under the current Constitution, touch the language of the Constitution. And a holistic rewrite where everyone is involved and everyone is offering input generally gets us to a better solution than if one group just does it by fiat. So rather than just like the exec board saying, here's what we think is best, what do you guys here have this? Instead, everyone sitting down at the table together, everyone working together to try to figure out, okay, what has worked in the past? Where have we seen flaws? What processes do need improving? Is a process I think there is great value in. And we're trying to wrap this up by the executive election committee time. So, I mean, hey, hopefully we can get this done lickety split. Any questions?
Okay, thank you for your presentation. We'll go into our 5-minute questioning period. Raise your hand if you have questions. I'll start the timer right now. Oh, also keep in mind that the link to the Google Doc is in the Senate agenda chat. So feel free to open that up and take a closer look too during this time.
It's a long one. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Or
There
if
is-
you already have any questions, feel free to ask them.
I was going to say there is also a line numbered version in case you wanted to make changes to anything. Unfortunately, I don't think that Microsoft Word and Google Docs broke pages at the same points, so I think they end up being slightly different length documents. Same text, but just paginated slightly differently.
Are there any questions from anyone for Ben or Nick on the JBoard part?
Nick put a lot of work into the JBoard amendments and making sure the JBoard amendments would work.
I'm gonna do a last chance. Any questions? If there are none, I'd entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved.
So move second. Perfect. Okay, we are going to go into our standard 5-minute discussion period. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please ask them now. And raise your hand. Nobody has any comments on it at all. No.
It's okay.
Friendly amendments.
It has my support.
Well, thank you for your comment, Derek. Everyone likes it a lot. I mean, if that's the case, I'd entertain a motion to move to voting.
And please, more than 4 people sign up because Nick would really like to implement his games of chance. So he has been thinking very, very hard about what games of chance he would prefer.
Yeah. Oh. I know he's been thinking about those games of chance. It'd be fun. If you are interested, again, contact Ben, Joel, Nick, me, anyone listed on the doc. Right there. Anyone on that list. Also, I'm still waiting for a second.
No, you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, no, that's a privilege. Never mind. Okay, Joel, open up the voting form. And you guys will have until 10:35 to vote. And then after that, I will announce the results of tonight's meeting. In the meantime, while you're voting, is there anything anyone wants to bring up for open floor?
So there is a possibility that there's some office space opening up in Herman Hall. Rachel, if you could you remind me which offices those were that you said were?
For sure. I don't actually know the numbers of them. They are the offices that overlook the expo. I think there's 3 of them in the row. It's where the old ACAP's office was. I brought this to Ben. T and I were thinking this might be a space you guys would be interested in moving into because you would have the ability to all meet together in some space, and there would be a lot more storage in that space as well. You could, of course, keep anything that you needed still at MTCC in the basement, in our storage locker. But this may give you option to meet somewhere specifically for e-board. Ben had a great idea of making it also maybe a communal space, one of the 3 offices. So different orgs can actually rent that space from you guys for their meetings, since we are really, really hard up for space on campus. I have thoughts, hopefully, that'll happen with Carmen. If you guys do not want the space, we will give the space out to other orgs. But let me know if that is of interest, and we're gonna go on a tour of it too on Monday. Sorry, I might have talked too much.
Oh, no. That's a very good overview of it. And I was mostly going to bring up, we're going to be doing a tour of the space. So if you have strong feelings about the issue of where's the SGA office located, please come let me know so we can get you added to the tour calendar invite. It's going to be Monday at Herman Hall at 2 p.m. So if you have strong feelings, please tell me so that way you can tag along. And after we see the space, we can have a discussion about which office space we would prefer and why. Because I am kind of agnostic on the issue. I'm new enough to SGA that I don't have a strong emotional attachment to the current office. I think there's value in having more space and possibly having a space we could share with the wider student org community. But it's also not an MTCC. So, I mean, it's a little more out of the way. So that there are pros and there are cons. And I'm very interested in hearing other people's perspectives on where we should be located.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Ben and Rachel. Is there anything else that should be brought to our attention at the moment? Any new business before we officially get this year's Senate started? In the meantime, we still have a couple minutes for this voting. In the meantime, I'll go over our first couple. So the C's proposal passed. So you guys are now an org. Congrats.
Yay. Thank you guys so much.
And then our second Food Recovery Network. Congratulations to you guys also. You also passed. Your results for C's was 10 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain. Food Recovery Network had 9 yes, 4 no's, and 2 abstains. And then, since we have a majority voted, I will call our resolution, which also passed with 9 yeses and so far 1 abstain. So that being said, congratulations to everyone who presented tonight. Everything passed. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Second, thank you. Okay, all those in favor of adjourning this meeting, please unmute yourselves and say aye.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Okay, the chair is not in doubt. This meeting is adjourned. You guys are all free.